Ghosts? Ridiculous. Figments of overactive imaginations, nothing more. I scoffed at those ghost stories, those whispers of things that go bump in the night, until Crestwood Theater, until I'd spent my life debunking myths, exposing hoaxes. The paranormal was my playground, and I, the resident cynic, little did I know I was about to become part of the narrative I so readily dismissed. My skepticism was about to be tested, severely tested. Crestwood Theater. Once a beacon of entertainment and joy, it now stands as a ghostly reminder of its former glory. The marquee, barely legible, hints at the golden age of cinema, when crowds would gather eagerly for the latest show. A relic of a bygone era, its grandeur faded, replaced by an unsettling stillness. The once bustling lobby, now silent, echoes with the faint memories of laughter and applause. The walls, adorned with peeling wallpaper, tell stories of countless performances and the many lives that passed through its doors. It was the type of place where shadows lingered a little too long, where whispers seemed to emanate from the very walls. The dim lighting casts eerie silhouettes, making it easy to imagine the spirits of past patrons still roaming the aisles, searching for their favorite seats. The air hung heavy with the scent of dust and decay, a musty perfume of forgotten memories. Each breath taken inside the theater feels like inhaling a piece of history, a fragment of the countless stories that unfolded within its walls. The velvet seats, once a vibrant crimson, were now faded and worn, like an old man's favorite armchair. They bear the imprints of countless audiences, each seat a silent witness to the passage of time and the changing tides of entertainment. It was the perfect setting for a horror film, for a haunting. The atmosphere, thick with nostalgia and a touch of dread, makes it easy to believe in the supernatural. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains adds to the sense of unease. Tonight, it was hosting a special screening, a rare event that drew the curious and the brave, those willing to step into the past and experience the unknown. A lost, silent film shrouded in mystery and whispered rumors of being cursed. The film, long thought to be lost to time, has resurfaced, bringing with it tales of misfortune and eerie coincidences. As the projector whirs to life, casting its flickering light onto the screen, one can't help but feel a shiver of anticipation and dread. What secrets does this film hold? What stories are yet to be told? The audience, holding their breath, is about to find out. The projector sputtered to life, casting an ethereal glow upon the faded grandeur of the Crestwood. The room, once a bustling hub of cinematic magic, now stood as a ghostly relic of the past. Dust particles danced in the beam of light, adding to the surreal atmosphere. The hum of the projector was the only sound, a mechanical heartbeat in the silence. The film flickered on the screen, a grainy black and white world sprung to life. Each frame seemed to tell a story of its own, a window into a bygone era. The characters moved with a jerky elegance, their expressions exaggerated, their actions almost theatrical. It was as if the film itself was alive, breathing and whispering secrets from the past. It was captivating, mesmerizing. The story unfolded silently, the flickering images accompanied by the eerie melody of a lone piano. The music was haunting, each note resonating with a sense of foreboding. It was as if the piano was speaking, telling a tale of sorrow and despair. The combination of the visuals and the music created an atmosphere that was both enchanting and unsettling. A tale of a cursed film reel, of a malevolent spirit trapped within. The legend spoke of a filmmaker who had poured his soul into his work, only to be consumed by it. His spirit, they said, was bound to the real, forever haunting those who dared to watch. The film was said to bring misfortune, to blur the lines between reality and fiction. It mirrored our setting, our circumstances, a little too closely for comfort. The abandoned theater, the dim lighting, the sense of isolation, it all felt like a scene from the very film we were watching. The parallels were uncanny, and it was hard to shake the feeling that we were part of the story, that the film was watching us as much as we were watching it. An unsettling feeling began to creep up my spine, a prickling sensation at the back of my neck. It was as if the air itself had grown colder, heavier. I could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon me, the presence of something or someone lurking in the shadows. The sensation was almost tangible, a physical manifestation of the fear that was slowly taking hold. I tried to shake it off, attributing it to the atmosphere, the power of suggestion. After all, we were in an old, eerie theater watching a film about a cursed reel. It was only natural to feel a bit spooked, right? But no matter how much I tried to rationalize it, the feeling persisted. It gnawed at the edges of my mind, refusing to be dismissed. But deep down a seed of doubt had been sown. What if the legend was true? What if the film was more than just a story? The questions swirled in my mind, each one more unsettling than the last. I glanced around the room, half expecting to see a shadowy figure lurking in the corners. The doubt grew, feeding on the fear, until it was impossible to ignore. The line between reality and fiction had blurred, and I was no longer sure which side I was on. The air grew colder, the silence in the theater deafening save for the scratchy soundtrack of the film. I felt a presence, something unseen, watching, observing. From the corner of my eye I caught movement in the shadows, a fleeting glimpse of something that vanished as quickly as it appeared. The audience, a motley crew of film buffs and thrill-seekers, sat eerily still, their faces illuminated by the flickering light from the screen, their expressions unreadable. A cold sweat prickled my skin. Fear, primal and instinctive, began to take root. This was no longer a screening, it was an experience, a descent into the unknown. My breath hitched. The room was dark, the only light coming from the flickering film projector. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, each beat echoing in the silence. The air was thick with tension, and I could almost taste the fear that hung in the atmosphere. On the screen, amidst the flickering images, a face appeared. It was a face I knew all too well, one that haunted my dreams and now, my waking moments. My face. It stared back at me, an eerie doppelganger trapped within the celluloid world. The eyes were hollow, yet they seemed to bore into my soul, reflecting a fear that was all too real. Panic clawed at my throat. My hands trembled uncontrollably and I could feel the cold sweat trickling down my spine. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body was frozen in place, paralyzed by the sheer terror of the moment. This was impossible. I was here, in the audience, watching the film, yet there I was, on the screen, living a nightmare that I couldn't escape. The boundaries of reality seemed to warp and twist around me. Wasn't I? The line between reality and fiction blurred, my mind struggling to grasp what was happening. It felt like I was slipping into a dream or perhaps a nightmare where nothing made sense. The boundary between observer and participant dissolving before my very eyes. I reached out, my hand trembling as if trying to touch the ghostly figure on the screen. It felt like I was reaching into another world, one that was both familiar and terrifying. The air crackled with an unseen energy, a palpable shift in the atmosphere. It was as if the very fabric of reality was being torn apart and I was caught in the middle of it. The projector whirred, the film speeding up, the images a frantic blur. The faster it went, the more distorted the images became until they were nothing but a chaotic mess of light and shadow. The images a frantic blur, faces, places, and moments all melded together in a dizzying display that made my head spin. It was like watching my life flash before my eyes, but in a way that was twisted and wrong. The lone piano melody escalated into a cacophony of discordant notes, each one more jarring than the last. It was as if the music itself was mocking my fear, amplifying the sense of dread that consumed me. A jarring, spine-chilling soundtrack to my unraveling. The music, the images, the very air around me seemed to conspire against me, pushing me closer to the edge of madness. I could feel my sanity slipping away, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. The screen pulsed, a beacon of unearthly light. I couldn't tear my gaze away, transfixed by the spectacle unfolding before me, horrified yet strangely exhilarated. Then it happened. The screen tore open, a gaping maw of blinding light, beckoning me forward. I felt an irresistible pull, a force drawing me inexorably towards the screen, into the film itself. Terror battled with a strange sense of curiosity. This was madness, yet I felt strangely resigned to my fate, as if I had always been moving towards this moment. The world dissolved around me, a whirlwind of light and shadow. I tumbled through the screen, the familiar surroundings of the Crestwood Theater replaced by the monochrome world of. The air hung heavy and cold, the only sounds the ghostly strains of the piano and the whirring of the projector. I was no longer an observer but a participant in this nightmare. I was trapped, a prisoner of the celluloid, my existence forever intertwined with the cursed film. My skepticism was gone, replaced by a chilling certainty. Ghosts were real and I was now one of them.